I lost 75 pounds and walking did more for my belly fat than any HIIT workout ever did. Walking builds the conditions that decide whether belly fat comes off at all. I'm Dr. Jon Go. I'm an ophthalmologist here in LA. By the end, you'll have 7 walking rules I learned losing the 75 pounds. Rule number 1, attach walking to passive time. The biggest walking unlock for me was this. I started attaching it to the things that I was already doing: working, studying, editing, answering emails, taking calls, watching Netflix. This is habit stacking. You take something already in your day, then attach movement to it. Walk at a pace of 1 to 2 miles per hour, enough where you're moving, but not so much that it's distracting you from your work. That's how you raise your step floor without needing a whole nother block of time. It's really just changing what the floor looks like under you. For me, 2 hours of creative work in the morning becomes 10,000 steps done before 8 a.m. Rule number 2, utilize a step floor, not a step ceiling. A step ceiling is what you hit on your best day. A step floor is what you hit on your worst day. And fat loss needs the floor. The mechanism is neat: non-exercise activity thermogenesis. Your formal workout might be 1 hour, but the day is the other 23. For most busy professionals, that hidden movement is where the weeks won or lost. Pick a floor 1,000 to 2,000 steps above your current baseline. Hold it for about 2 weeks, then raise it. If your baseline is 4,000, don't jump to 10,000 because some guy on YouTube told you to do so. Build the floor first, and once that floor is stable, then you can raise it. Rule number 3, walk after your meals. 10 minutes is enough to help you with your blood sugar. You don't need a brisk walk, just a walk that turns digestion time into movement time. The mechanism lies in insulin sensitivity. After you eat, light movement helps muscles take up the glucose and smoothens the post-meal rise. This can happen after dinner, after a clinic lunch, around a parking lot, on a treadmill, or around the building. The best post-meal walk is the one that you can repeat. Rule number 4, morning sunlight walk. The cheapest sleep aid I ever tried was a 10-minute walk in the morning. This rule isn't about burning a huge amount of calories at 7 a.m. It's about setting the nervous system and the circadian rhythm. Morning sunlight helps anchor your body clock. The mechanism is cortisol plus circadian rhythm. And when sleep improves, the 8 p.m. version of you gets easier to trust. Rule number 5, use walking snacks on busy days. One of the biggest mistakes is thinking walking only counts if it happens in one clean block. It doesn't. 5 minutes counts, 10 minutes counts, a lap around the building counts, a short walk between patients counts, a few minutes after parking further away counts. I call these walking snacks, tiny pieces of movement that keeps the day from turning completely sedentary. This happens because busy people often wait for the perfect window. Then the window never shows up, then you barely get any movement throughout the day. Walking snacks fix that. You don't need an outfit change, you don't need perfect weather, you just need the next small opening. 5 to 10 minutes is enough. After a meal, between tasks, before you go into your next destination, after parking. For me, this often adds 15 to 30 minutes of movement without needing a formal walking time. Rule number 6. Zone 2 walking beats HIIT when recovery is the bottleneck. Most people think walking's too easy to matter. That's exactly why it works. When I was losing weight, HIIT looked more impressive on paper. Harder workout, more sweat, higher intensity, more calories burned per minute on my smartwatch. But it was expensive, and the cost was recovery. My weightlifting performance was taking a toll. It made me hungrier, and it was easy to skip when life got busy. Zone 2 did the opposite. It built output without crushing the rest of the system. You burn calories, you improve your aerobic capacity, and you build the habit of moving more without creating that same recovery cost for most. That matters because fat loss isn't won by the hardest workout that you can survive once a week. It's won by the output you can repeat while still lifting, sleeping, working, and eating like an adult. 20 to 30 minutes at conversational pace, 3 to 4 times a week. Brisk walking with incline is good enough for most people. A good gauge is the talk test. If you can speak full sentences but not a whole conversation, you're probably in the right ballpark. The fat loss tool that looks too easy is often the one you can repeat long enough to matter. Finally, rule number 7, the 12-minute rescue walk. This is for the night when the plan's slipping. You're home late, you're tired, you want a snack, and you feel the day turning into a spiral. Don't debate your entire diet at 10 p.m. Take a 12-minute walk, outside or on a treadmill, around the block, around the building, even inside if that's the only option. But the point isn't the calorie burn. The point is to create a state change. Walking creates a pause between impulse and action. Think of it like a circuit breaker. It doesn't power the whole house, it stops the overload from becoming damage. Walking works because it's simple enough to survive a busy life. NEAT, insulin sensitivity, stress control, muscle preservation, better decisions at night, that's the higher level unlock. If you want the full fat loss framework behind all this, watch this video next.